Oh shit, here we go again.
First, let's start off with how it originally blew up in the May of 2016. The manga had began serialization in Shonen Jump just like any other normal story out there. Kohei Horikoshi, the author, had come off the cancellation of his previous series, Barrage. Barrage was cancelled due to low popularity in Shonen Jump, and if you think about it, this is not exactly crazy because this happens all the time. A really recent example is Phantom Seer or ITLC. Now, if you want to know more about that, check out the video my good friend Pirate Hunter Anime made about it. But getting back to My Hero Academia, there are a lot of reviews related to My Hero Academia which praise the series and accept the shortcomings as they are. What about the so-called elitists who criticize the series for every flaw that it has? Let's find a few of those reviews and break them down one by one, and finally have an input from a really big My Hero Academia fan. To get to the root of this argument, we need to go back and talk about Naruto. Naruto was bigger than a series. It was the start of a new era that brought some problems with it. When the serialization for My Hero began, it was the same as, again, any other series. The sales were doing good, the fans were liking it, but then the anime dropped. Countless people criticized the anime to be corny, cringy, cliched, and most of all, that it was a rip-off of Naruto. It was cliched because the story was too simple to understand. The story had perverted characters, and it was corny because it had superheroes from America and Japan, and most of all, it was a rip-off of Naruto because the character tropes were the same. The best answer I can find related to this point is that Deku and Naruto were underdogs, and the plot is the same because both wanted to get to the top of the world they were in, and the character tropes or the characteristics of every other person in the story were basically the same. To discredit this, character tropes are really important in a part of any story. You wouldn't say that Astro Boy was ripped off by Naruto because a few of the characters had the same characteristics. It does not work that way. And talking about the underdogs, Shonen Jump is aimed towards kids, and kids want to read stories that inspire them. Take me for example. I watched the first episode of My Hero and I felt motivated to follow my dreams because All Might was such a beacon of hope for Deku and me. My Hero Academia is a story about growth. It's a story about becoming stronger through your friends. And I'm not saying that Naruto was bad by any means. I absolutely adore the series, but Naruto just did not have that light of hope that My Hero Academia did at the start. I couldn't connect to Naruto, but I could to Deku. And that's where the next argument comes in. Deku is probably the worst protagonist in manga ever. Now, the criticisms against Deku are one of two things. One, a clone of Naruto, or two, a bland protagonist. But the thing is, Naruto and Deku are vastly different in how they handle things. Naruto wanted to be Hokage, but Deku, his goal was so much more than that. He wanted to be the greatest hero, not the strongest. And here the comparison between Goku and Deku is drawn. The argument is that Deku is a clone of Goku because he, like Goku, wants to become the strongest. There are a few problems with this argument. Sure, I'm a huge Dragon Ball fan and I have never seen Goku being put into active danger with his power. Sure, the Uzaru incident happened, but they cut off his tail like anything, and boom, problem solved. But Deku, he had to train. Deku had to train to master a fraction of the power All Might could use, and it was evident. It was evident because throughout 10 months, he trained so hard that All Might told, look, you need to stop or you'll kill yourself through training. But no, he kept progressing forward because he had a dream and he worked towards that dream. Sure, Deku is the generic nerd you see in every anime. Sure, he got the power because he was worthy, but Deku is so much more than that. He had a goal set from the start. He worked towards it even though he didn't have a quirk. To prove my point even further, Deku wrote 13 analysis books just so he could train even though he didn't have a quirk. He did this just by seeing heroes in action every single day. Deku puts himself in active danger time and time again when he uses his quirk, and when this happens, no one bats an eye. He sacrifices himself to preserve his dream of saving people. Does that not count as a valid reason for him to gain the strongest power in the world? Does that not make him a character worth loving? Does the fact that even though he used the strength of the greatest hero to his advantage after 10 months of training, only to be saved by a girl with floating powers? My last stance against this argument is the manga. Skip to the time given on the screen so that you can avoid spoilers, but to those watching, you know what I'm talking about. Deku transformed from an optimistic kid to making sacrifices of relationships with the people who supported him, and he's doing all of this just to protect them? He's doing all of this even though he's wrecking his body, even though he says he's fine, he's not. He's doing this just to protect the people he met over a year ago. But back to non-manga content. Deku is so much more than a protagonist who wants to get stronger every fight. He sees good in people that can't be saved. He gives people a second chance. And the overall tone of the story was never to become the strongest, but the greatest. The greatest in the sense that people would look to him as a beacon of hope rather than a person who could defeat anyone. He wanted to become a hero who never gives up, and this takes the talent versus hard work perspective to a whole new level. If you still aren't convinced with my argument, My Hero is not an overrated garbage story, then what about the opinion of another fan? I would like to introduce my good friend Texas Smash to take the stage and give his opinion.
Hey Rusky, pleasure to be on your channel. My honest opinion on My Hero Academia is that it stands above all. To start with, let me say that I'm someone that has seen a good amount of anime. I'm someone that has seen the greatness of JoJo's, the mind games of Code Geass, the hilariousness of Gintama, etc., etc. I feel like a lot of times people have this perception that if you think My Hero is the best anime, then that means you haven't seen much anime. This couldn't be further from the truth. My Hero stands on top because it deserves it. I'll mention a couple things that make the show amazing for me personally, and close with the biggest reason. The sheer quantity of characters is insanely impressive. I know there's well over 450 characters within the My Hero wiki page, and that's growing almost every week. This alone would not make the show great, however. The character designs and the character development simply blow me away. Look at Tamura peering through the fingers of the hand that's on his face, or the power of Dark Shadow taking over Tokoyami. And it's not just how well the characters are designed and how many of them there are. Horikoshi is the spotlight master. How many series do you know where the main villain was the main character for like 6 months real time? Look at Stain, look at Endeavor, look at Hawks, Aizawa, Lemillion. The list goes on, with second to none character development from Horikoshi. When you put all these things together, the large character cast, the amazing character designs, and the development Horikoshi masterfully gives to them all, it's astonishing. And the best part is, I haven't even said the best part yet. The single most reason I would say for regarding My Hero so highly is something I have never seen any other show pull off. On the surface, My Hero is the story of Deku becoming a hero. But beyond that surface layer is the societal impact that each and every action in the show has. My Hero has amazing fights, but anytime something happens, Horikoshi takes the time to show us society's reactions to these events. When you talk about society in My Hero, you almost feel like that's a character in and of itself. It makes the show feel real. There are consequences to each and every action, and Horikoshi explores the fallout of any major fight each time, be it with heroes, villains, or society itself. To take your words, Resky, My Hero Academia just hits different than any other show I've ever seen. Nothing else comes close to the level of world building and character development.
My Hero Academia is anything you want it to be. It can be a story about motivation, growth, inspiration, perhaps a story about someone rising to the top even despite the circumstances, despite the obstacles put in their way, even though many people look down on them, and most importantly, because they rose above the odds and became better in every single way. And My Hero Academia, just like Deku is a story, is so much more than superheroes fighting villains in this fantastical world where All Might gives a really strong power to Deku. It's the same as Vagabond. And the same as Vagabond is a story more than just about samurai. We follow someone from when they were considerably weak to becoming someone invincible under the sun. Someone who finds purpose in life and learns from every single defeat. It's the same as Berserk. Berserk is not a story about Guts killing monsters every single day just because he's a mercenary. No, Berserk is a story about Guts finding purpose in his life and protecting the people he loves the most. That is the essence of My Hero Academia. Not in strength, but in morals, lies the very message the series portrays. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the story of a troubled series, stricken by mindless critics and haters. There is so much more that I wasn't able to cover, but I hope in this video that I changed your mind about My Hero Academia, at least a little. Stay home, stay safe, and remember, go beyond, plus ultra.